not only is that our Vice President of the PGA of America as a spokesperson for Get Golf Ready, and a lot of times you see our leaders as spokespersons for programs and initiatives, but he is doing this. He is living this. It has proven to be successful at his facility, and he 100% believes in this program. And I think that's pretty evident in that video. That is not, you know, just standing up and talking about another program. That's really, you know, personal for him. So, and I know he's had great success at the Legends, which is a public facility. I'd like to talk about another couple of programs here, a couple of important player development programs that you should be aware of and that you should be taking advantage of. And one, of course, is Tee It Forward. And I know you've probably heard a lot about this. This was launched last summer. It's part of an initiative basically to get people playing from the set of tees that they should be playing based on their ability. You know, no need to go play the tips and you know, struggle out there and have a hard time and not play well and not have a good score and take too long to play. You know, let's move up, let's start having fun, let's start making this game more enjoyable for everybody. Obviously the big spokesperson for this is Barney Adams, founder of Adams Golf. And he basically had this simple idea, you know, that poor and occasional golfers should have more fun and they should move up and play from a set of tees that's more equal to their skill. 70% of people who took advantage of Tee It Forward and played said they had fun and a more enjoyable experience. Really should be more than that, I would imagine. Have any of you ever played from the white tees or the forward tees or anything at your facilities? I know I do. Anytime I get a chance to play from the most forward tees, I take advantage of that, and I do have a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun hitting wedges and 9-irons into greens than hybrids, I can promise you that. So it is a lot of fun, and hearing a lot of success stories out there of facilities that are, you know, not only offering this on a daily basis, but setting up tournaments, Tee It Forward tournaments. You know, obviously we all heard about the event that Mr. Nicholas did at his golf course, you know, the 8-inch cups and Tee It Forward and 12 holes, things like that. It's very well received. People love this. They're looking for something fun, something unique, something creative. And not just new golfers to make it more welcoming, but golfers like you and I in this room. We've been playing golf for a long, long time. But anytime there's a new format or a new way to play this game to make it fun, I know for me it's a lot more enjoyable. Also, a great way to integrate the family atmosphere that is so important to sustaining and growing this game. You know, I can speak from my personal standpoint. You all know that I'm married to a golf professional, shocker. We have 2 young children, you know, and when we do take them out on the golf course, we are playing forward. We're playing a fun, modified format. You know, they're not competitive golfers yet, you know, we hope that they will be, but if not, that's okay. We know golf is something that 4 of us will always enjoy. We take them out and it's, you know, Don and I tee off, and then from there the kids can join in, and it's an alternate shot format, and we have a great time. And it's always girls against boys, and it usually comes down to that last hole as to, you know, who has to do the dishes that night. So it's a lot of fun, and this is just another way to make the game fun, make it more welcoming for everyone. PGA Sports Academy. I hope that a lot of you are familiar with this. Great way to enhance either what you're doing at your facility in the form of junior golf player development or initiate a program if you don't currently have one. It's basically a compilation of best practices and tools to entice young players to play the game. You know, put down the Wii and put down the iPad golf games and go out and enjoy the sport and get outside. Last September, during the Worldwide Day of Play in Washington, D.C., PGA Sports Academy and the game of golf was right there on the front lawn of the White House. Pretty cool. You know, we're trying to integrate golf into the lives of young people so that it is shown as a fun, enjoyable sport, much like baseball and softball and soccer and all these other team sports. But we need to make it fun. We need to make it more welcoming for kids. Like Daryl alluded to, you know, there's so many rules and dress codes and things like this, and I think it's a fine line we have to walk in preserving the great history and tradition of this game, but also kind of keeping up with the times, if you will, and making this more appealing to young people and to families. I think we all, all of us in this room probably got our start in junior golf in some form or another. And this, if you have not looked at it and seen what it's about, utilize lots of fun tools, on the driving range. It's not just hitting golf balls, although obviously that's part of it, but different little obstacle courses, if you will, and integrating health and fitness into this game as well, which is so important. Another area I'd like to talk about, we talk about connecting to the core of women in our country that aren't playing and want to play more. And I know you'll be privileged to hear from Ms. Orander later today during lunch, talking about connecting with her. It'll be a great, great thing for you to listen to. But the EWGA, Executive Women's Golf Association, I hope you're all familiar with this. It's a great organization. Here in Southern California, we have 6 chapters from Santa Barbara, LA, Orange County, San Diego, Palm Springs, and the Inland Empire. But you can see there's pretty powerful numbers here with this group. They engage tens of thousands of women every year. And that's a spend rate of $48 million a year just from this organization. And it really plays into the fact that women travel in packs. Women want to play golf with other women. They want to take lessons with other women. It's going to be very rare if you see a woman sign up to take a clinic without any of her girlfriends. Okay, we're going to travel in packs, and we're going to want to do it together. We want it to be fun. We want it to be a social atmosphere. A lot of facilities that have integrated a Get Golf Ready specifically for women, or beginner league for women that have integrated, okay, pro's gonna buy you a glass of wine before we go out for our first lesson. Huge success. A little tidbit there. Hope you took notes on that one. Our PGA professionals that have engaged with these chapters, and as you can see, pretty similar to our chapter structure here in the section with the different areas, but I really encourage you to reach out to these chapters if you haven't already. And you may already, have them come out and play their events or play their tournaments at your facilities, and that's wonderful. But also reach out to them because they can reach out to other players that maybe aren't playing as much as they are. Those beginner golfers, maybe they're friends that they haven't quite joined the EWGA because they don't feel comfortable. Invite them out for a beginner EWGA intro to golf, and integrate a social atmosphere where you've got the avid golfers from the EWGA chapter and they bring a friend. I mean, this is, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to do something like that, but it's going to showcase that your facility is welcoming. You want them to come out to your facility, learn golf, it's fun, they can be with their friends, it's a business networking opportunity. It's a great way to integrate yourself, if you will, into that women's market, because there's already this very, very successful organization that's already built. And from there, there's thousands and thousands of other friends that they have, okay? And we're going to talk about later the whole welcoming environment aspect of this. So important at your facility, and I really encourage you to kind of take a step back and take a look at your facility. Is it welcoming? Not only for women, but of course that's extremely important. I mean, I walk into a lot of facilities and, the women's apparel section is in the back corner, under the, there's no lighting back there, but it's there, we have it. Walk up to the shop and don't really you're not greeted as quickly as maybe another group that walks in. Things like that, but again, not just women, but just welcoming in general. We talked about the first point of contact for your customers and your members. And how well educated is your staff about your entire facility, about your player development programs, about everything that goes on at that facility, not just your golf professionals, but everybody. How about the valet or the young man at the bag drop? They should be able to speak what's going on at your facility. Food and beverage staff, a lot of times we overlook that. Take a look back and think, in your grill room or your bar, if there's a group, a foursome that's sitting there and the server overhears that, God, you just can't chip and putt, just couldn't chip and putt today. Is that server gonna, as they're serving the drinks and the appetizers, is that server gonna say, you know what, you should go in and talk to Joe in the golf shop. He's great at short game. He gives great short game lessons. You should really check it out. Would they do that? And if they did, how powerful would that be? It'd be wonderful. So it's really just kind of about taking a step back and really analyzing your facility and how welcoming it is to everyone and how educated your staff is. And I really think that the facilities that are really on board with that are really going to be the ones that succeed the most. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Paul.
Okay, so taking a step back to the Boston Consulting Group work, I think this is a very important slide to take into consideration. There's a lot of variables going on in our country, right? We're all getting older. So when you look at baby boomers as a part of our core and avid group of players, pretty important, right? And going to be increasingly important over the next decade. Time, disposable income, we hope, certainly economy permitting. But baby boomers provide a great opportunity for a little spike in our revenues. That's an exciting opportunity. However, what happens when our baby boomer generation is no longer able to participate in the game? Who's going to fill that void? That was a huge question that the Boston Consulting Group posed to us. Who's going to fill the void that's going to occur eventually with this greatest generation, as they've been called, when they move out of the game? Let's take a look at the change that's going to happen in our country over the next 20 to 30 years. We are on pace to have 400 million American citizens. And we look at our Caucasian population as remaining very flat. There's going to be increased growth in ethnic diversity in our country, not just reflected in this room of PGA professionals and others, but across our entire industry. What are we doing proactively to recruit ethnic diversity into our game, both from an employment professional standpoint, but also with consumers? We're not doing very well, to be quite frank. When you compare us to, let's say, the NFL, blue chip organizations like Home Depot, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, they've been at it for 10, 20, and 30 years, creating a spirit of welcoming, not only in the ranks of their team, but also in those they serve, with products, with services, with events, activities, promotions. We are way behind, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, in the opinion of the Boston Consulting Group folks. So we have a tremendous opportunity if we embrace this. If we sit on the sidelines and do nothing, our population is going to grow like this. Our golf population, I fear, will grow counter-cyclical to that. So we have to take aggressive action. We're beginning that process with the PGA of America and having really serious conversations with the industry. I think it's something for you to consider as well at your facility and in your life. It's also important to note, as Nikki said, the increased role of women. I'm not sure how much it's increasing. Donna will share that with you specifically, but I'll give you anecdotal information. Certainly we've learned that women control about 80% of all household spend in our country. In my household, it hovers around 99%, plus or minus a percentage point, depending upon the day. But if I am able to make a consumer decision, I'll tell you what, the first person I ask for permission, frankly, but also for an opinion is my bride, and usually my daughter as well. She has a strong opinion. Bottom line is, our game has not been receptive to the power of women. We have been asleep at the wheel for a long time in this category because, frankly, it's not just about a woman playing golf, which is important. We want that very much. But if a woman doesn't validate the importance of golf in the life of spouse, significant other, children, guess who's going to have a hard time justifying playing? So when BCG told us that for the core and avid golfers, the top 3 reasons why they don't play more golf, who wants to take a guess at what those are? Core and avid golfers, the top 3 reasons why they don't play more golf. Who's going to help me here?
Family time.
Family time? That's, I think that was 4. Good answer though. What else? Obvious ones. Money. Money, number 1. Number 2 would be time. Okay, you guys are paying attention. Thank you very much. That validates the experience. What was number 3? Family time, number 4. 4 or 5. You've heard me do this before, haven't you? Yeah. I've seen you in the crowd. Did you hear what she said? Please stand up. A woman answered this, by the way. No, please, say it again louder.
Whether or not your significant other plays golf.
That's it. So, men, core and avid players who want to play more, don't play more, because their spouse or significant other doesn't play. What a great opportunity exists if we can address that, right? Anyway, Donna's going to talk in great detail about this. I can't wait to listen to what she says. I always learn something every time she speaks. We're lucky to have her leading our Connecting with her team, and I think you're going to have a great time at lunch today. But more to follow there. Also, we talked about this earlier, the consumer continues to change as far as their expectations and their needs. We have to continue to meet those. So you look at the other issues here, if you will. There are also opportunities. If we can talk to the younger generations, the millennials, the Gen Ys, and present a compelling argument to them of why this can be something that they can do. Number one, they're telling us we don't have time for golf. It takes forever. Can we not address the fact that we have something for them that takes an hour or 2 hours? We don't have to say, golf, that's 4, 5, 6 hours plus or minus. They're not going to do that. They need something that they can do quicker. Do we not have an experience that we can offer in a shorter period of time? The economy, we've talked plenty about that. The importance of family continues to ramp up. What do people do on the weekends if they have kids? Soccer practice, basketball practice, right, Donna? We have lots of things that we have going on as families that take precedent over golf. Why isn't golf part of that picture? That's an answer that we need to come up with. Anyway, lots of opportunities lie ahead. So what's the PGA of America doing? We've built out this retail plan like any business plan. There's some core components that would make obvious sense as far as programs. Our organizational structures, we're focusing on several markets to test activities, including the one that we're in today. But at the core of this, it gets back to we have to make sure we protect the core player. We need to engage those who used to play and don't play anymore, and we need to do more to attract new players to the game. And for all PGA professionals, education, rather training, is really at the core of what we're focusing on. Whether it be the playbook that you have in front of you that Nikki will talk about here in a minute. The bottom line is we are creating tools for you that will help you become better at what you do, help create more revenue and more value for the employer today. It's not about take this class, eventually it'll help you. No, it's about helping you right now. So the programs that Nikki talked about are in place, to continue to be evaluated, but we certainly hope they'll be used by you to help move the needle. I think it's also important, Nikki mentioned the Wii games, which get the kids off the Wii. Sometimes if you can't beat them, join them, actually. My kids both learned how to play golf with a Wii clicker not much bigger than this. Crazy, right? Personal problem maybe, but they got interested because they had success. They said, Daddy, we want to play golf. Maybe the greatest day in my life, maybe not the greatest, you'll tell my wife I said that. One of the greatest days of my life is when my kids said, we want to play golf. Because my wife doesn't play golf. She goes with us because it's a family activity. She validates it. But the Wii game, I'm not promoting it specifically, no endorsement here, but it helps open up the doors. I've heard professionals talk about they have Wii golf experiences at their facilities on Sunday afternoons for kids, little kids. Why? Because it keeps the family at the facility. It provides an opportunity, maybe in the off season or when the weather's cooler like it is today, to do something with kids that keeps them connected to the game, and they can certainly ladder up from there. Speaking of youth development, we've entered into a partnership with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Here in Southern California, we're in Los Angeles, San Diego, and the Redlands with 3 of our 50 test markets. The bottom line is there's over 4 million kids who participate in the Boys and Girls Clubs every year, both in urban and suburban settings. It's where the kids are. And this is not a junior golf program where it's simply go in, teach golf for a day, wave goodbye, pass out some t-shirts, go home. This is a spring and a fall program, 6 weeks in duration, that concludes each session with a field trip to a real golf course where kids get to be reminded that they're welcome here. This is how it works. Like Nikki talked about with Get Golf Ready, on-course experiences, family activities at the Boys and Girls Club, leagues that we're developing for them. This is about driving new players to the game. We're going to where the kids are, and we think it's an important opportunity. Also, in the youth development area, the age-old success story of Interclub is being taken to a much more grassroots and youth development initiative with a league program, and there are others that exist, but we are really bullish on this one as it focuses on little kids who are just getting started in the game. This provides them an opportunity to participate in a team sport. We talked about soccer. I'm not anti-soccer, but it is absolutely blowing up all the way around over the country. Kids can't fail in soccer. Well, I've seen maybe a couple fail, but the bottom line is they have uniforms, they have practice, they have a designated schedule for their games, and guess who's there? Parents, grandparents, everybody's there for that designated activity. Golf, when you talk about with kids, sure, we have junior tournaments, which are great. What happens before the junior tournament? After introduction, but before tournament play, there's a big gap, and we feel like a team-based approach is the right answer. Kids will play a scramble format. Little kids will play with kids with a little bit more experience so they can make sure that success occurs. Bottom line is it's an opportunity for professionals to drive revenue to your facility. You control the ball as far as the length of the activity, and it's something we've seen great success with on our testing. Okay, I'm going to trade off here one more time. Nikki?
Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about my role as well as the 8 other player development regional managers that are now in place throughout the country. As you know, I started with the PGA of America just after the first of the year. I was in phase 1. There were 4 of us that were hired: Southern California, Chicago, Boston, and New York. These areas were chosen based on they're the top latent demand markets in our country based on all the studies that the Boston Consulting Group did. Now, just as of last week, I think they completed their training. The additional 5 managers are now in place. And the 9 regions include, obviously, Southern California, Seattle, Phoenix, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, New York, and Washington, D.C., as you can see on the map there. So now all 9 of us are in place. We've also brought in a national player development regional manager that will be kind of our day-to-day contact. We'll be traveling to all 9 markets. He'll actually be coming out to visit us here in Southern California next week. We've got some meetings lined up with some facilities and professionals and management companies to really start to try to make a difference. And basically our job is to, again, be another tool and another resource through the PGA to you as PGA members and apprentices. Utilize us. You know, what I do, and I've visited probably 20 or 30 facilities, about 75 professionals I've talked to in the last 60 days. And it's really been a lot of fun for me, kind of a different role than I've had in the past with the section, is really being able to sit down one-on-one with our professionals and really kind of just learn about, number one, learn about what they're doing in the form of player development. Like I mentioned, I'm learning that there's a lot more going on out there than a lot of us knew about. You know, and I spent over 10 years here with the section and thought I had a pretty good idea of what was going on out there at our facilities, but I'm finding out that there's so many great programs out there and so many success stories. So that's part of what I'm doing now is just getting educated as to what you're doing at your facility and what's working. Maybe some things that haven't been as successful, and taking a look at, you know, why is that? Maybe it was marketing. Maybe it just you just didn't have enough staff to be able to do the programs that you wanted to do. And really educating our professionals and their facilities as to all of the tools and resources that are available to you. I'm finding that, unfortunately, a lot of our professionals aren't as familiar with some of the tools that are out there, like Get Golf Ready and Tee It Forward, and all of the templates and the marketing materials that have already been created for you to just plug in your information and use. It's very beneficial and very easy for you to get started. And from there, then you can start to get creative based on the type of facility you're at, public, private, resort, what your clientele is, you know, where are you located within the section? Are you in the desert where it's a very seasonal you know, activity out there? Are you coastal? Are you right in the middle of downtown LA? We have, you know, Southern California is such a different animal I think when you look at some of these other areas, but I think we're so unique, and to me that's a lot of fun. So it's a lot of fun for what I'm doing. I truly enjoy it, and I look forward to, you know, again, being a road warrior and getting out to see as many of you as possible and really just helping you. You know, I want you to be successful. You know, I want Southern California to be as successful as we can be. So look for me to be calling you, emailing you shortly to sit down and meet with you. And not only are the 9 of us out there available and to help, you know, obviously there's 41 sections and there's only 9 player development regional managers. We also have the resources of our 12 employment consultants across the country. They've been very involved with us in the form of training and working together. I work very closely with Ken Farrell almost on a daily basis, you know, keeping each other, communicating with each other as to what's going on out there. You know, if I hear of things that are happening and vice versa, and really sharing success stories and helping each other. So with the 9 of the player development managers, the 12 employment consultants, our national player development manager, there's 22 people that are at your disposal, if you will, throughout the country to help with this. And I know that at national headquarters, they've really, you know, ramped up the player development team and the staff that's there. It's tremendous. You know, there's a tremendous amount of support that we have to be able to do the job that we need to do. You know, whether that's helping run reports and helping facilities sign up for Get Golf Ready, and some of you in this room know what I'm talking about because you've utilized that help. So again, just utilize all the resources that are available to you. Call me anytime. You know, I certainly don't have all the answers. You guys are the experts in this game, but sometimes it helps just to get an outsider's perspective as to what's going on at your facility. And the biggest part is being able to share the success stories that I'm hearing about as I'm meeting with all of our facilities and traveling throughout the section, and also hearing about success stories from the other 8 regional managers that are out there. You know, there's been some great things that have been happening, you know, in Chicago and Boston, New York, that we share. And we're communicating, you know, twice a week on these things. So there's a lot of things going out there. So it's almost easier to hear from one-on-one from a person that you know as to what's going on and how we can help you make your facility better and more successful, and make you more valuable in the eyes of your employer. That's a huge part of this. You know, player development equals employment. You know, we can talk about all the pessimistic stats, if you will, and the million players that we're losing, and I kind of look at it as a great opportunity for you as a golf professional in these times to really make yourself stand out. If you can be an expert in the field of player development and really show that value of some of the programs that you're doing and how many people that's bringing into your facility and what that is equating to for the bottom line of your facility, you're going to stand out among the professionals either that are at your facility, or if you're applying for another job to move up, that's going to set you apart. And I really think that this is a great time and a great opportunity for you to do that. So just be thinking about that. You know, I know sometimes we have to get past, you know, player development is not just beginner clinics and doing a junior golf clinic every weekend. It's beyond that, you know, and player development, growing the game, it's nothing new. I mean, that's what our association was founded on, is growing the game. That's your duty as a PGA member. But now more than ever, it's so important and so crucial to our industry and to your career. So really, you know, take it personally. And with that, we'll go into the playbook. And there are plenty, so please take these with you. They're on the tables. There's also an electronic format of this on PGA Links that you can download. It's on PGA Links, it's on golf20.net. You can share with your employer, your golf course owner. This is a great tool. This, along with the game plan, which the game plan is on your table as well. Game plan is somewhat of a condensed version of what's in the playbook. And if you haven't looked through the playbook, I really encourage you to do so. I mean, it's a great, these 2 pieces were the first 2 Golf 2.0 tools that were developed for you, for our golf professionals, if you will. And I can tell you that right now there are additional playbooks being developed by our team at headquarters. The first to come out will be the Know Your Customer playbook. And that should be launched, I think, in the next couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And I've seen a rough draft of that, and it is great. It's very detailed. And it really is giving you a lot of information, sharing a lot of best practices with you from professionals and facilities throughout the country. So really encourage you to look through this. When I come and visit with you, this is what we're going to sit down and go through. It's really a step-by-step manual of how to take a look at player development at your facility. And I think it's a great tool because it's not just saying, go do Get Golf Ready, go do a women's introductory clinic. It's telling you how to do this. You know, it's touching on not only giving you an overview of what Golf 2.0 is, you know, not only for you, but for you to share with your employers and your facility owners, to educate them on what this is and the importance of this to our industry and to their facility. It's talking about the importance of communication to your employer. You know, one of the most interesting stats from the Boston Consulting Group study, you know, we asked our golf professionals, you know, how are you doing in the form of player development? All the answers were very favorable. We're doing great things, you know, thumbs up, very positive. Same question was asked to golf course owners. What is your golf professional doing in the form of player development? Number one answer, nothing. That's not good. That tells me that you're probably not, us as professionals, we're probably not communicating what we are doing and the importance of player development to our employers. So we need to do a better job of that, showing them the value of player development and what that means. And it means a lot to the bottom line. And that's what's interesting to them, okay? And it's going to set you apart as a PGA professional. That's going to show your value to them as a PGA professional as opposed to someone who is not a PGA professional. It goes into analysis, it goes into writing business plans, execution, you know, marketing, tracking. Tracking is huge. A lot of you are doing great things at your facility in the form of player development, but you need a little bit of help in tracking. And that's just going to benefit you in the long run, so that you can go back to your employer at the end of the year and say, you know, those player development programs that I was pushing you to do and you finally gave me the green light to do, well, look what this meant. We had X number of people come through the program, X percentage of them are now playing regularly, X percentage of them are now part of our men's league, our women's league. They spent this much in apparel, they spent this much in equipment, they spent this much in individual lessons, they spent this much in green fees. It's very, very important. We're also developing something along those lines as well at headquarters to help with the tracking. A lot of your point of sale systems should be able to do this. So again, playbook, please read through it. It doesn't mean that you have to do every step that's in that playbook. You know, certainly not. But there's some great information in here, and it's a great tool for you to use, so please take advantage of it. And again, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and help analyze what's happening at your facility and the great things that you're doing and how we can improve on them. And maybe create even better programs for you to make you look better in the eyes of your employer.
Thanks, Nikki. I think with any tool that we have, the goal is whether you're a member in your third year or if it's a year number 33, there's something in it for each of you as it relates to helping you with your facility. I think at this time, we're going to transition to our panel conversation. So in addition to Nikki joining me up here, be very pleased to be joined by John McNair from JC Resorts. John, would you come up, please? And also Kevin Williams from Alhambra Golf Club. Kevin, would you come forward as well? Oh, Alhambra Restaurant. Close. I apologize, Kevin. John, I'm going to start with you. Nikki talked just a few minutes ago about communication. How BCG told us that professionals were saying we have all of these player development programs. Owners and employers are saying, what are you talking about? I'm not aware of it all. So the communication process with an employer, with a general manager, with a board of directors, it's critically important. Can you talk about how you get that process started? It's a little bit awkward, I would think, sometimes to begin that process if it's not in place. Do you want to talk about it, John?
Sure, thank you. Hello, is this working? I think it starts with just creating a plan. At the end of the day, it's about communication. And the stat up there that was kind of scary is the fact that employers, you know, what is the PGA profession doing? The word nothing. It's very dangerous, not only for the growth of the game, but also for job security. So my advice would be to create a plan, detail it out, work with your team to make sure that everyone's on the same page with that plan, then present it to an owner. And the other part would be tracking. Tracking the information is important. So at the end of the day, you can show a return on investment to that owner or that manager of the property, and you can show your value of the programs as well as the value of your position.
How often should a PGA professional be having a conversation with the general manager, with the board, with the owner? What do you think makes sense there?
I'd say quarterly probably is a good amount of time. Depending on how many programs you're doing there, you're going to have many more programs, depending on the time of year too. But quarterly would be a good amount of time.
Excellent. Kevin, you've had great success at your facility, even though I didn't pronounce it correctly, I apologize, with Get Golf Ready. One of the key components, and Nikki talked about this as well, is making sure that the entire facility staff is aware of the programs that are taking place, so they can be part of the sales force. Can you talk about how you do that at your facility?
Yeah, definitely. Basically, everyone at the facility knows exactly how the program operates. They know the dates and times that the classes are taking place. When a customer comes in to either the driving range or the golf shop, we have information ready for them that lists the dates and times. We even go so far as to help people register online for the class right there at the facility. We can take our shop computers and rotate them around and point and click and teach them how to register for the class. I think that has worked out very well for us.
Absolutely. And Nikki, we know that PGA professionals wear many, many hats, and most are in what we would call traditional operation-centric modes as far as their jobs, but trying to bridge that gap into player development sometimes is a little bit challenging as far as who's going to do all of the work. You've been in some conversations over the last couple of months with a number of employers and facilities. Can you talk through some of those conversations about how they grapple with, frankly, who's going to do all the work? And before you answer that, who has more time today than they had 5 years ago? You're number 3 in the country. Congratulations, sir. We're not seeing a lot of extra time on our hands, right? So we have all this work we need to do. Who's going to do it? Can you talk about the conversations you've had?
Sure, and I want to preface just real quickly, if I can, these two gentlemen that are sitting up here, and I'll start with John. I'll pick on him first. You know, I talked a lot about as I'm making my travels around and speaking with professionals and facilities, and I'm finding out so much more that's going on that none of us knew about. So I decided to call John. You know, I've known John. He's now a member of the board of directors for the section. He's a leader. He's with JC Resorts. So I know he oversees 6 or 7 facilities here in Southern California. So, you know, look in the records, if you will, and see that really none of them have done anything with Get Golf Ready. It's like, okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to really let John have it at this meeting. Sit down and meet with him. We have lunch, and he tells me about a program that they've done called Intro to Golf, which basically it is Get Golf Ready. They just call it something else. And this program, since they started in 2009, has brought in nearly 2,000 new golfers to their facilities. It's increased their Players Card program that they have up to 8,000 members. Wonderful, wonderful success story. But nobody knew about it, other than John and his facilities. But they did a tremendous job. They did a tremendous job of really creating this program at all of their locations. And I think it speaks volumes to just what we were talking about and leading into your question, Daryl. It really has to come from the top, and obviously that came from John as he oversees all of these facilities and said, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be a company-wide initiative, and every facility is going to do this. And I'm sure some facilities maybe had a little bit more success than others. But overall, I think all of your facilities saw a tremendous success rate in this, and they're continuing it. And we've had discussions on the benefits of utilizing the Get Golf Ready program. And I'm going to be speaking with his leaders at his facilities here at their management meeting next month, and really kind of co-brand this, if you will, into a Get Golf Ready, Intro to Golf, a Get Golf Ready program, so that his professionals can utilize all of the tools and resources and the marketing templates that are available, and help in the tracking aspect of it as well. But I really think to go back and answer your question, Daryl, I think it comes from the top, and the successful facilities that I've seen have really a dedicated champion, the player development, if you will, whether that's the head golf professional or, and I'll speak to Kevin at Alhambra. Alhambra Golf Course, since Get Golf Ready started in 2009, they have far and away been the most successful facility in our section. Their numbers are incredible, and it's a public facility, high volume public facility, double-decker driving range, perfect location to introduce the game. It's literally, their facilities literally in a neighborhood, surrounded by YMCA's and churches and schools, and it's a perfect facility. And I know Jerry Wiz, your director of golf, has been, you know, the champion of that and has really rallied you and the rest of the staff. But I know he spoke so highly of you, and I think it's great for you to be sitting here as a PGA apprentice, you know, and really taking hold of, because Jerry told me, he said, well, I'll be happy to speak, but Kevin really does all the work, and Fernando and a couple of the other guys. And I know that, and I think all of us from our days as an assistant pro know that a lot of things were pushed on us, and our head pro director of golf would you know, get all the glory for it. But you know, Jerry really wanted Kevin to be up here today and speak on behalf of the golf course. And I think it's great as an apprentice, again, talking about, you know, using this time as a great opportunity to set yourself apart from other professionals. This is a great opportunity for Kevin as he's going through his apprenticeship to really develop himself into a leader in player development. So I really think it starts with having a champion at the facility and letting that kind of trickle down to the rest of the staff.
Kevin, I'm going to let you respond to those accolades. What I hear in traveling the country is, you know, Darryl, that's great that we have these 60 million lapsed golfers on the sidelines who want to play, but where are they? Do you have their names? I mean, how do I go get them? Can you talk about what your facility does to market and promote your program, how you find these consumers, and then how you keep them, if that's a fair question?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we do a lot of advertising around the facility. Like you said, we have actually, don't mean to correct you, but with 3-level driving range. And we put an ad to get golf ready on every stall. We have ads in the restroom, on the bulletin boards. A park borders our golf course, has a lot of walking traffic. We put banners advertising the program there. And then also, it's like you mentioned earlier, it's about building relationships. We've had, you know, 300 to 400 students come through the program. I've taught myself many of the classes, probably about 75 to 80 students come through my classes, and that's 80 relationships that I've built for myself as a teaching professional, but for my facility also.
John, you touched on it with your opening comments, but I want you to drill into a little bit more about marketing your programs, and frankly, even marketing yourself as a PGA professional. Can you talk a little bit more about you know, what your facility does and sort of what your philosophy is?
Yeah, philosophically, I start by believing that a lot of people believe discounting is marketing. Signing up for a program that's going to just discount the rounds or the rates. I think it's very important to know if you're doing a true marketing program, it takes time and planning to do it. You know, just talk about giving the whole team accolades. I need to compliment John Mason and Palmer Nikki. When we first started our Intro to Golf program, we sat down in a group. There was about 10 golf professionals. It's never easy to get 10 golf professionals to agree on a teaching program, I can assure you. But when we finally did, we created a program and it's launched that. So I think planning is the next, you know, the next big part of your marketing plan. Putting a budget together, how much you're going to spend, and then it's about the hard work going out and doing it. We did some things with social media. We had one of our golf professionals stand out there with sunglasses and said, "Free golf" is a sign, just so they can come out, you know, like the people you see on the streets in front of malls and things like that, asking for money. Free golf. We got over 1,000 people, Facebook fans, in about 3 days by doing that. That's just one example we do it. Then we were able to market to those people about our Enter the Golf programs. In addition, we did some things with Groupon and some other formats to try and get people out to the property. And then it's in every one of our golf courses. We used our databases to market to all of our customers, whether it's existing customer or a core golfer that might play us 25 times a year. They always have 5 or 6 friends trying to market to those people. Through electronic mediums, frankly, because of the cost efficiency. There's not a great return on the lesson program to start, but obviously it's the long-term game. But we utilize every database you can. And one recommendation on the marketing side is get a database, start it, even if it's just with the first person, just work your way to grow that database. Because I'm a big believer, whoever has the biggest database wins, whether it's growing rounds of golf, growing a lesson program, whatever it happens to be, and marketing that efficiently. So database is the #1 thing you can do, and then tracking that return on investment.
And with the database, you have the opportunity to do something that's very important. You can ask the consumer what they think. People like to be invited. They also like to be asked for opinion, right? Everyone wants to be asked their opinion. asking for an opinion and acting upon it is a very powerful tool. And you mentioned social media. An idea came from another part of the country. Social media, a little bit intimidating for those of us who are getting older, right? This professional hired a 17-year-old high school junior and said, how would you like to earn X amount of money this summer helping build a social media campaign for a golf facility? This was a kid on the golf team. I think it was like a $2,500 investment for the professional, and they killed it. Why? Because this junior golfer got to do what he, in this case, loved, which was spend time with technology and build a very sophisticated system, and it was very cost effective. So it doesn't have to be a massive spend, but opportunity doesn't present itself. So anyway, I also think it's important when you talk about marketing, while there are levels of sophistication, part of it's the good old-fashioned go outside of the walls of your property and into the community, whether it be to local businesses. Human resource directors are always looking for health and wellness programs, and golf certainly lends itself to that at a high level, going into rec centers, into schools. It's where people are, and they want to be invited to your facility, whatever the programming might be. You have something that speaks to them. And the fact that you're there as the expert offering it certainly resonates. And Kevin, go to you. Talk a little bit about. We try to focus on golf is fun, right? We tend to forget about that sometimes in our business space. But I also wanted to know, before asking the question, I was shocked to learn that of those who currently play golf, amateur-wise, only 1 in 10 takes a lesson. Only 1 out of 10 consumers takes a lesson. When surveyed, do you know what they said? I'm not qualified. Consumers think they're not qualified to take a lesson. That's only for expert players, they told us. Talk about the shoe being on the wrong foot there. So breaking that ice, inviting is a critical component. Only 1 in 10 takes a lesson. Kevin, go back to fun. What do you do with your Get Golf Ready program to ensure that it's fun, that people have a good time? It's something that there's a value proposition there. How do you make sure your customers have fun?
Well, I just try to keep it lighthearted. You know, first class, I always make sure that everybody introduces themselves to one another. We kind of talk about why they're here, you know, why they want to play golf. Kind of gets everybody to know each other so that we can really root for each other. So that when we go out on the golf course and somebody hits a good shot, we kind of cheer, kind of like it was in the video, you know, or keep it lighthearted with jokes or funny stories that happened to me when I was out playing or on the golf course. And just try to bring it down to their level. Well, that's not bad. But just to, you know, not put myself on a pedestal as a professional or as an accomplished player, but I try to relate to them as, you know, as a player that everybody started at one point. You know, golf is, as we know, it's not natural. I mean, it's hard, and so everybody pretty much starts at the same level, and I really try to emphasize that.
How about questions from the group? You've been also pretty quiet this morning. Who has a question for the panelists or me on anything? I promise I won't call upon you, but you can yell out. Tom, thank you.
Darrell, the program's in its infancy, but have there been any results yet that show that it's working or might be working?
Sure. I think you can look at that in 2 perspectives. One, it's working because current programs that have been in place are continuing to show a lift, whether it be Get Golf Ready is a specific example. We now have almost 2,300 facilities registered, so a significant increase just since the merchandise show in Orlando earlier this year. So we're seeing people embrace the concept, and we're seeing you know, consumers continue to flock to it, participation. Also, I think success can be measured in terms of how much of the industry is engaged. We've had tremendous success with the PGA Tour, for example. We've created and implemented women-centric events at the tour events, where we're showcasing to businesswomen the value of golf for them personally, for their families, for their business. And we tend to emphasize the fun part, as you can tell. It's been very successful at Honda and Doral already, great successful programs there. The fact that the USGA has made a sizable economic investment in Golf 2.0 in the youth development space, that success. Multi-course owners around the country have embraced the concepts. They're either adjusting what they're doing by adding somebody in the player development space to their full-time team. Specific example, a Club Corp in Dallas recruited Kathy Harbin away from Golf 2020 to lead all of their player development efforts. So we're seeing enthusiasm and a realization that, hey, we need to do something right now. We are not at a point in time where we can sit on the sidelines as an industry and just let the PGA do it. While we're positioned to lead because of you and your peers in this room, we're the people on the ground that are going to make it happen. But we have to have support from the entire industry, and we're getting that at a level that I wasn't expecting this soon. So that's success. Now, are we going to be measured by numbers? Absolutely. We're going to be measured by number of players. We're going to be measured by our revenue, influence, and frankly, in 2011, we took a step back. We're going to show more than likely a $300,000 or $400,000 decline in number of players. But the good news is, partially weather, partially the work that is being done by the men and women in this room, we're seeing nice growth numbers in the early part of 2012. So we're very encouraged. That's the bottom line. Other questions? Sir.
When you look back, say 30 or 40 years ago, and had like, was it just a perfect storm? The reason that there was such a growth in the game, maybe Mayor comes along or whatever, or do you look back at the programs that were in place there and learn anything from that, or was it just demographics?
30 or 40 years is a little bit outside of my time compression, but I think when we look at what's happened over the last couple of decades specifically, the economy certainly plays a role. We can't take for granted the impact that has. At the same time, we also have to look at the influence of PGA professionals and the roles and responsibilities that you've had. We've had some changes as it relates to responsibilities, and I think that the entrepreneurial spirit that was maybe even more focused a couple of decades ago as it relates to how professionals spend their time with such an emphasis on developing players and teaching programs and playing. We've had a period of time in our golf experience over the last decade or so where that hasn't been a front burner issue. And returning to that is critically important, we think. So a lot of variables have contributed. At the end of the day, the catalyst, it's the men and women in the room. You're the people who create the passion for the sport, your love of the game. It's contagious, and if there is anything that you walk away with today is the importance of your role as an amateur, but somebody who's loved golf most of my life. The inspiration came from a PGA professional, and the fact that you have the ability to inspire others, whether it be kids, fellow adults, moms, dads. Don't ever lose sight of the power that you have. It's unbelievable. The fact that you stop and spend time with somebody like me and want to talk about the game or offer a tip to me, powerful, powerful. Whether it's in person, whether it's in electronic communication when you're talking about the game or your observations. The PGA professional at the facility that I'm a member at sends every week a communication about the game. I can't wait to get that email. I've known this person for a long time, but to get that personal email that he sends to me and 600 others, it means something. So don't ever lose sight of the power that you have to influence the game and those who play it. Yes, sir? All the way in the back.
You know, there already are some amazing programs out there for us. Summer school programs, city recreation directors are looking for us. When I wanted to develop junior golf, I went to the city recreation director, and he gave me an unbelievable support. In fact, he paid me to put a program together. While I was there, somebody else said, hey, we have a summer school program. We'd sure like to have golf involved. I didn't develop it. I didn't think of it. I was looking for a way to make some extra money. But these places are looking for golf professionals to develop. They already have a summer school. They need a recreation program.
That's why programs like the Boys and Girls Clubs, to your point, are so valuable. That's where kids are. It's something else that we can't lose sight of. The kids who are there feel safe. They value sport, and so do their parents. 5 out of 6 households in our country have no connection to golf whatsoever. So if we go someplace that values sport, safe, and we take an exciting, fun, lifetime sport like golf. And it's amazing if a PGA professional who goes in there and helps support that, because your ability to sell the love of the game is like no one else. So there are opportunities. Thank you for mentioning that. There's a question. Yes, sir.
Just wondered if the PGA of America is thinking about regional or local promotions on television, specifically golf tournaments, such for Get Golf Ready or promoting programs that are for golfers.
Absolutely. We're actually in the final stages. We work with a company called Leo Burnett out of Chicago to build a consumer campaign that does focus on a specific program like Get Golf Ready and a broader message to the consumer. And as they say, it's not your father's Oldsmobile type of commercial. It's much more high energy, intense. It's delivering a message that we hope will resonate with all consumers. It's also something that can be housed digitally. And that's where all the partners that we have, whether it be the golf partners or others, manufacturer partners, will help spread that message virally through their distribution channels through a digital means. So television plays a role, as does radio, regular print promotion like we do with Golf Digest. Bottom line is there's multiple ways to do it, and we just have to have the right message. So we're deep into that and should have something available in the next 60 days.
Is it going to be specific action, having the consumer go to a website or a way of them finding out more information if they want to actually do it?
Right. Call to action is terribly important. Absolutely, that has to be party to it. Whether it's on television or whether it's a digital communication, there has to be some type of call to action. So, thank you for that. Yes, sir.
Just a comment, number one is that I think the PGA of America, the USGA, could draw the money that they want to these programs because they're important. But if we don't grab hold of these in our micro markets, if we don't have the champions at our facilities, grassroots on the ground driving these programs, they're not. It's incumbent on the facility, finding that champion person in your facility to grab hold of the program. I'm very proud of my professional staff that has been here at the golf courses, my director of golf, Carl Van Valley, and the consistency we have there. They've jumped all over this. Our practice facilities are as large as Alhambra, so they've done a great job. It's because it's been driven right at the grassroots level. And if you have assistant golf professionals that are struggling to make more revenue, and in these economic times, getting raises is almost unheard of nowadays. I just did some quick relevant math. In the last 18 months, we brought in a little over $16,000 in Get Golf Ready fees. And that goes a long way for somebody that's making $9, $10, $11 an hour, 12, whatever. And having people that are passionate on your staff about driving, and I think this is a perfect thing for apprentice professionals to start managing a small micro group like this and to grow yourselves in your career paths. The directors of golf and head professionals have a lot to do, a lot on their plate. They can be mentors, but I think this is perfect for your friends. And it just, I've been a member since 1995. We've had a lot of programs come through the PGA, but none of them are any good unless the people at the micro part of the facilities, the micro markets, drive them. And like Nikki said, we've got 500 facilities in the Southern California section, and only 100 of them are registered to Get Golf Ready. In the first 9 or 10 months of Get Golf Ready, I think it was far less than that. A small, maybe half of that in the first 9 or 10 months of the program. But somebody that manages facilities and has a professional staff, it's working well for us. It's bringing people to the course. It's helping our apprentices make money. And our client, the city of Ventura, letting them know this has created a win-win facility for the staff and for customer growth. They're all on board with it. So, and that's why we're able to give our professional staff 100% of the money that comes in for this, minus a couple dollars if there's some marketing. And I don't think there's been anything that's come down the pipe in the last 17 years of my life as a member of the been as much as success of this program.
Well, thank you for your comments. I appreciate that very much. And it's personal, isn't it? It really is personal. And that's really the message that I'll leave you with, and thank you for your attention this morning, is that everybody's different. Every professional, every facility, all circumstances drill down to we all have unique circumstances. Golf 2.0 is intended to help each of you in your situation with a personal message and a personal opportunity. So take the time, please, when it's convenient, to read the playbook. Visit our online tool and make sure you understand the resource there, because there's great information available to you. And let us know what we're missing, how we can improve. This is a conversation. Everything that we do is living. It's not static. So give us your feedback. We appreciate your time and attention. Please give a round to Nikki, Kevin, and John.
Thank you, Daryl and Nikki, and Kevin and John as well. As you can tell, we're in good hands with this program, with these two quality people that made the presentations. We have a small token of our appreciation that we'll give for you both. And our next session is going to be Teaching 2.0, and it's going to be in room 200, out the door to your left, and then we'll be back in here for the lunch session.